you?
There we go.
Well, I'm
Wow.
actually, it's cold because I'm up in northern Wisconsin.
You
Wow.
are.
It was 46 degrees this morning,
Yay.
and I don't think it
I
ever
wish it
got
was
beyond
40
65 today.
Wow. Butter, y aquí vamos. Here we go. Y bienvenidos y bienvenidas a todos y a todas. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Están bien?
Sí, muy bien.
Hace tanto calor. Ay, qué lío. What a problem. Bueno, vamos a empezar con algo. No tenemos un libro. We don't really have a book for class. I mean, if you are someone who really, you must have some kind of book. And, sometimes people just say, I want to review some stuff on my own. This is always a good book. Let me know, email me if you need the title. Not expensive and has a lot of information. If you feel like you need to, look stuff up, want to look stuff up. How we run this class is we always, we have a little bit of a theme that's going to run for a few weeks, I think, on it's going to be food related because at the end of spring, a lot of folks wanted to talk about, hey, can we focus on some vocabulary about food ingredients, food preparation, how to talk about what verbs do I use to talk about how I prepare food. And sometimes these do come into play. You might see, especially the method of preparation, you may open a menu and it may talk a little about, whether the cheese was grated, whether the food is fried or grilled or what have you. So it can be super useful, even sometimes in interpreting some information on dishes in a menu. So we're going to focus a lot for the next, I think, at least 3 sessions on food and food prep kinds of issues, but we're going to open with something totally not related to anything else because it's topical. It is it is of the moment. So we're going to show something. Please do not listen to this and think that your level of Spanish must be equivalent to this because it doesn't need to, but it's fun to watch. And I think they automatically put subtitles in here because this is an interview that was done this week. This is why it is topical. Oh, ¿quién es? ¿Quién es? Rafa, es Rafa, el famoso, el incomparable, el genial Rafa Nadal. Rafael Nadal es campeón en tenis y ganó es el campeonato de Roland Garros, sí, como se dice en inglés, French Open, sí, el abierto francés, the French Open, and won it actually with a very bad injury. There's a lot of controversy about whether or not he should be having injection treatment. Ouch. So you're going to see one word in here that is like, what the heck is that? Escaphoides. Escaphoides refers to, it is a medical term about the bone within the foot. And for those of you who don't want to think about that, because it is kind of icky, there are like lots and lots and lots of bones in your foot. Well, he's got one bone in that foot that's really destroyed, and he takes injections in that to dull the pain because he can't take it. But I thought this was an interesting little exchange. Es breve. Dura solamente 1 minuto, 20 segundos. And this is a reporter asking post-championship about his injured foot, which, they're not sure they can really repair like ever. But yeah, see, you'll get the feel for some of it.
Rafa, te regalo un pie nuevo con un escafoides maravilloso.
Rafa, if I were to give you as a gift a brand new foot muscle, perfect shape. Yeah. Would you take that? Would you rather take that in exchange for the win on Sunday?
A cambio de la final del domingo. Tú me dices.
Sí. Sí, prefiero perder la final.
Prefiero perder la final sin ninguna duda. I would rather lose the final.
Wow.
No doubt. Sin ninguna duda, without any doubt at all.
Ninguna duda. No, al final mi discurso no cambia nunca y mi forma de entender la vida tampoco, ¿no? Al final,
My way of understanding, what life should be does not change.
un pie nuevo me permite ser más feliz en mi día a día, ¿no? Ya no
A new foot would permit me to be happier in my day-to-day life.
al final ganar es bonito y
Winning is nice. Es bonito, it's pretty, but we would say winning is nice.
te llena de adrenalina y de un momentánea, ¿no? Pero
It fills you with momentary adrenaline, that rush, gives you the rush.
la vida continúa y la vida es mucho más importante que cualquier título, ¿no? Y
Yeah. But, living your life is more important. It's more important than any title.
en ese sentido, para mí, después de una carrera como la que he
After a
tenido,
career like I have had,
evidentemente siempre me he esforzado al máximo
I've
para
always,
generarme las máximas
pushed
opciones
it
posibles,
to the max.
fuera cual fuera mi condición física, ¿no? Pero
no matter what my
yo tengo
physical
una vida por
condition.
delante, ¿no? Y el futuro
But I've got a life in front of me.
me encantaría, pues, poder
And in the future, I would love to be able to
ir a
play
jugar con mis amigos, deporte
my
amateur, ¿no?
friends.
Y
deporte amateur, amateur. So I would love to just play around sports with my friends.
a día de hoy, pues, bueno, esto es un poco incógnita, ¿no? O sea que, sin ninguna duda, no, al final mi felicidad
Wow.
va por delante de cualquier título y un pie
My-
nuevo, sin ninguna duda.
My happiness moving forward, and a new foot. Wow. He'd rather have a foot that works with no pain than the title, which is interesting. You don't usually hear
No.
him talk about that much, but that's wow. Guy, pobre Rafa. Sometimes you just got to say it's time to retire because some of
No.
those injuries don't go away. Okay. Bueno, el tema, the theme, el tema en términos muy, muy, muy generales va a ser la cocina, cocinar, ingredientes, la comida, cómo se prepara algo, cosas típicos, cosas de día a día, things for, day by day. So today we're going to start where it will be a little bit more video heavy than usual today because we're going to see some videos. You can watch a lot of videos that are kind of garbagey or have too much stuff. Oh my God, too much TMI. Do you seriously want to think you're going to memorize 50 verbs, like after watching something for 10 minutes and you're just going to know them all perfectly? You may know like 10 of them offhand and the other 40, you're still not going to memorize 40, but what you should do is pick a few things out here and there that are useful for you, useful for you to know, useful for you to recognize when you hear people speaking about it or you see it in a menu, useful to use when you describe talking about food. And we all like to talk about food. So we're going to assemble a lot of vocabulary and food, interestingly enough, is always a topic of, I don't know if controversy is quite the, there are always debates because like 21 different countries speak Spanish. There are different national foods in all those places. There are different terms very frequently. Food is notorious for different vocabulary words. not just tweak that vocabulary word and it's different in one country, but completely different, unrelated vocabulary words are sometimes used for the same exact food from one country to another that speaks Spanish. So just know that sometimes you're going to get, depending on the region, different vocabulary used kind of frequently with some ingredient-oriented words. Interestingly, not with the verbs so much of how to prepare it, but the names for different food types often can vary quite a lot. Do they understand each other? Pretty much, but sometimes not. That popcorn word, you got people talking, you know, from Chile to Spain, and they're like, no clue, what word are you talking about? And, you know, the popcorn word is notorious. There are like, I don't know, between 10 and 15 different words for popcorn. Seriously, how does that happen? But it does. Most are not that bad. Usually it'd be just a little variation. So what we're going to want to do tonight is we want to watch some videos that will give us some vocabulary to work with. You do not need to take furious notes. When I email the post-class email, it will give you every link to every video we watched tonight. So you may say, that was a really helpful video, but I need to see it again. And you'll be able to do that. So I will give you the list of every link of every YouTube we watch and any files I give you. So we're going to talk about things in the kitchen, ingredients in the kitchen, hopefully a few things about verbs that talk about how we prepare things. And then we're going to have some prompts and maybe do some smaller group work so that you can talk a little bit about pictures of different types of food and maybe use a few of the vocabulary words that we have picked up tonight. Now, aside from the cooking and food and ingredient theme, if there are any other topics that you desperately want to work on during this summer session between now and the end of August, always feel free to email me. You'll get my email from, you know, the recap email I will send out tomorrow. And I can always work on fitting things in. So that's cool. Okay, vale, sí. Vamos a empezar.
Sí.
Vamos a empezar. Okay, vamos a empezar. Primero, and I waded through many videos on this because there is a wealth of stuff on the internet. Some of it, blah, blah. Some of it just not so helpful. Some of it too much, some of it too little. So what I try to do for you is kind of distill what's the best. And this one kind of looks like it does look a bit like a kid's presentation, but it's super helpful. I need to move my video to the other screen here. So please excuse the initial video, which looks like it was made for 12-year-olds and may have been, but it's still useful and still good and still helpful. Perdón. And it's got little silly music to appeal to younger children. So most of them won't have that. Vamos a ver. Okay, sonido sí, todo listo, everything ready. Okay, you can see the silly little matador hat. I know, but you know, everybody's got their techniques. So here we go. It does have a lot of useful vocabulary. So this will be one of the things you're going to get a link to, so you can watch it again later if you want to copy things down.
Tío Spanish, aprender español. Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? He estado cocinando para mis amigos y aprendimos el vocabulario de los utensilios de cocina en el vídeo. Hoy vamos a repasar los verbos que se utilizan al cocinar.
Verbos utilizados. This is going to go through some verbs that are used when we talk about cooking.
Lo primero, por lo general, es lavar la comida, especialmente en el caso de frutas y verduras. Si queremos quitar la piel, hay que pelar.
Ah, si queremos quitar, if we want to take away. Yeah, quitar is to take something away or take something off. Si queremos quitar, ¿sí? La piel, ¿sí? Pelar, el verbo es pelar. Y es muy semejante al inglés, to peel, ¿sí? To peel es pelar. Es un verbo regular, pelar. Sí, pelamos las zanahorias, por ejemplo.
Hacerla en trozos más pequeños es cortar o trocear.
Ah, cortar, to cut, okay. Chop. Trocear, you sometimes do hear trocear. Trocear is the word for piece, like a chunk of something, or a piece of pie, or a piece of candy, or, so a chunk of something is trozo. T-R-O-Z-O, T-R-O-Z, Z-Z-O, trozo. So we take that word trozo, T-R-O-Z-O, T-R-O-Z-O, and we turn it into a verb and it becomes trocear. Pero cortar es muy común. Yo prefiero personalmente cortar o cortar en trozos. Cortar into trozos. Cut it into bits, ¿ok?
Si lo hacemos en trozos muy pequeños, estamos picando.
Picando. ¿Cómo es diferente? ¿Cómo es diferente picar de cortar? Cortar tenemos un trozo de tamaño así. We got it like, about that size.
Cortar is
So it's
cut,
dice?
y picar is
Dice.
dice, I think.
Dice.
Así es. Decimos en inglés dice. Picar.
So
Picar.
dice.
Picar has a few meanings, actually. Picar is also used for what a mosquito does to you when they land and picar. Picar also means to sting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it
In
has a bad
slang.
meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In slang, me pica also means it stings me like what a pain in the behind, or something does literally pain you. See? So yeah. Okay. Picar.
Del verbo picar. Por ejemplo, la carne picada o ajos picados. Para hacer otros alimentos muy pequeños, casi en partículas, hay que rallarlos.
Rayar. Rayar. Mira la herramienta. Look at this tool. ¿Qué significa rayar?
To grate?
To grate. Bueno, which one? ¿Cuál es la comida más común que rayamos en la cocina?
El queso.
El queso, claro. Entonces, para mí, lo más común, the most common thing, para mí, lo más común es rayar queso. Es posible rayar otras cosas, pero con el queso casi siempre, ¿no? Ok.
Verbo rayar. Rayaré.
Y regular. Regular verb. No funny stuff, not hard to conjugate. Okay. Cortar, regular, fácil, easy, right? Yeah, to conjugate. Okay.
Tomate, el pan rallado. Cuando tienes varios ingredientes y quieres unirlos, se mezclan.
Mezclar. Mezclar, to
Mix.
mix. Yeah, mezclar is to mix. You could use that as stir. Sure, mezclar. Mezclar, to stir, to mix, mezclar. The noun we get from that verb is la mezcla. una mezcla means a mixture. Una mezcla. But that is mezcla used as a noun. And you will notice with a lot of these verbs, not all of them, but a lot of them, many times we have a noun that is related, associated with the verb. So the word gets a noun type form quite often and a verb type form quite often.
Mezclar. Cuando se mezcla con mucha energía,
Cuando se mezcla con mucha energía, es batir. Es batir.
To whip.
se dice batir.
To whip.
Whip.
Como ba-
Whip or beat. Yeah, beat. Okay, so batir es como cognado. Wow, that's almost like a cognate to beat. Okay, beat, but it's a B. They both start with B. They both have a T. All right, close enough. We'll call it a cognate. Batir, batir. Regular, regular verb. Wow, no funny stuff with most of these verbs so far. Batir, con mucha, cuando se mezcla, when one mixes, cuando se mezcla con mucha energía. Boom, 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 boom. Es batir, batir. Okay. A ver, okay. The noun we get from this is a food item that a lot of people order a lot. ¿Alguien sabe? Anybody know what noun is based on that word, batir? Something that you actually consume.
Whipping cream?
Glug, glug, glug. So
Milkshake?
close.
What?
A shake or
Shake.
smoothie. Un batido. Un batido. Un batido, B-A-T-I-D-O-R. B-A-T-I-D-O. Batido, batido. B-A-T-I-D-O. Batido. A batido is a shake, or sometimes it, might say smoothie. Okay, slushy kind of drink. Okay, un batido.
Marilyn?
batir los huevos para hacer una tortilla. Si queremos hacer una masa,
Oh, perdón. Pregunta. Question?
Sí, sí. En una lucha, ¿puedes decir yo voy a batirte? ¿Batirte?
No,
Mean the same thing?
Oh, wait, batir. Can you use batir as how? As
To beat you.
oh, like
In una lucha.
physically
sí.
pounding
Fight,
somebody?
yeah. Mhm.
No.
No.
Batir es buena pregunta. That is a good question, though. Es buena pregunta. Batir, beat. Okay, beat as in sports.
Mhm.
Ganar a, because you win over somebody. Beat as in my husband beat up his baby brother. Yeah, that's pegar.
Uh-huh.
Pegar.
Again.
Pegar. Okay. Yeah, beat has many different definitions in
Batir.
English, doesn't it?
Lawrence Peel. It's dice.
Yeah. But no, they will be
Musical beat.
Yeah. Yeah. So, beat of music, el ritmo, rhythm. Yeah. So, yeah, that word beat is, wow, that's a stinker in English because it has so many different definitions in English. Pero como cocinar, beat something like with your mixer. Yeah, that's batir. Okay, buena pregunta. Gracias.
juntamos todos los ingredientes. Y para trabajar la masa hay que amasar.
Amasar. Amasar es
To knead.
to knead.
Sí, la masa.
Yeah, la masa. La masa, la palabra la masa. La masa means dough. Okay. And masa is a very general word. Es una palabra muy general. You can use masa to talk about cookie dough. You can use masa to talk about bread dough. You can use masa to talk about pizza dough. You can talk masa. You can use masa to talk about the filling in not enchiladas, gay, Guy. You're not tortillas. Guy, ¿qué pasó?
Tamale? Tamale?
Tamales, gracias. Tamales,
What's
tamales. So a lot of times, you know, you'll hear about masa with working masa for making tamales. And of course, that has to be spread. It's so gooey that it's actually spread in the sheaves of the corn husks. So, okay, yeah. But la masa dough, amasar, to knead, meaning you're working that with your hands.
Mezclar todo bien. Una vez lista, podemos estirar la masa con un rodillo.
Estirar. Estirar es,
Stretch.
To roll.
yeah, literally estirar is to stretch. Okay, so what are you doing when you roll dough? You
Stretching
stretch it out. Yeah. Okay, guys, estirar. When we make that reflexive, it means this. Oh, it's that kind of stretch. Estirarse. Estirarse is to stretch your limbs, stretch your arms, stretch your back, you know, lo que sea, whatever it might be. But estirar would be to roll out your dough because you are stretching it.
Si hacemos una ensalada y le ponemos aceite, sal o vinagre para que tenga más sabor, la estamos aliñando, del verbo aliñar. Y cuando comenzamos a cocinar en sí, hay diferentes maneras de hacer los alimentos. Freír es cocinar un alimento al sumergirlo en una grasa.
Submerging it in a fat. Freír, to
Yes, to fry.
fry. So here is one of the notorious difficult verbs to conjugate. Freír is an oddball irregular verb. Freír is an E to I stem changer. So, you know, frío, I'm frying something, okay? Se fríe, one fries something. But this is the frying that where it's really, well, you know, sometimes you hear that for sauteing too, to be very honest. But they're going to give you a different one for that.
Por lo general, aceite o mantequilla. Por ejemplo, las patatas fritas o las croquetas se fríen.
So croquettes, potatoes are fried, typically. Okay.
Hacerse en una
Croquetas.
sartén o en la freidora. Sofreír es parecido, pero se utiliza mucho menos aceite.
Se usa mucho menos aceite. Sofreír is, we got a little thing added onto the front of freír, sofreír. So we generally term that as frying, but that's not submerging the whole thing. Okay, so sofreír, yeah,
Saute.
like
It's deep
yeah,
frying?
like sauteing, right? Sauteing, stir frying.
Okay.
Sofreír. Okay. Now, to be honest with you, I have read lots of recipes and heard lots of recipes where people just use freír and nothing but freír, even if they are not deep frying. So, grain of salt, freír works just fine. Sofreír is a little bit more specific, but you know, you can
No se
use just
sumerge el
freír.
alimento, solo hay un poquito de aceite abajo. Y cuando lo cocinamos a la plancha, no se utiliza aceite. Se pone el alimento en contacto con una superficie muy caliente y se cocina. Cocer.
So
Bueno.
a la plancha is on a grill. Yeah. Cocinar a la plancha. Plancha is grilled. Okay. So what you would do in your barbecue would be, you know, planchar, right?
I should be taking notes.
And now they're going to give us two verbs for boil. But this verb cocer is a very general word for cooking, sometimes boiling. Frankly, I hear and see the second verb way more than I hear people using cocer. Yeah, you do hear. Cocido. Cocido is cooked. Okay. Hervir means to boil. Hervir is an IE stem changer, so it is a very irregular verb. But I hear this for boil far more, and this more for just general like cooking word.
Hervir es cocinar un alimento en un líquido, generalmente agua o un caldo. Por ejemplo, hervir los huevos. Y asar es cuando se cocina un alimento en el horno o en las brasas de una parrilla.
Ah, sí, una parrilla. So this can also be something you do a la parrilla on the grill. But yeah, asar es to roast. So you will see this word a lot in menus, not as asar, el verbo, not as the verb, but as the description. And the description is asado. And the description you'll hear most often is something like pollo asado. Pollo asado. Pollo asado is chicken roasted. Okay, and that tells you the method of cooking. Pollo asado.
O de una barbacoa.
Did they say a verb to grill? Like to grill?
A la parrilla or a la plancha. Usually when you see the word a la plancha or a la parrilla, it means on the grill.
If someone said, I grilled a steak. Was there?
Cociné, I cooked.
Oh, you wouldn't use it.
Yeah. As a verb itself. Qué buena pregunta. What a good question. As a verb itself, I don't think so. Cocinar a la parrilla. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there are these. Yeah. So we have these odd little things, but you'll see more of them as you go along. So, okay, we're going to finish this up a little
Ahora
bit.
ya sabéis todos los verbos que se utilizan en la cocina.
Es el final.
Tenemos más vídeos para aprender.
So that's the end of that. I will give you the link for that so you can kind of ponder. Whoops, sorry, folks. It had a hiccup. My Wi-Fi had a hiccup. So, okay, I will give you the link to that so you can watch it again. You may want to look at that to pick up a few things to talk about our assignment when we get to our assignment that you'll get at the end of class. I just want to show you a couple of verbs, dos verbos. I want to show you two verbs that were very irregular in that group so that they do funny business, shoot, irregular stuff. You've got a simple verb like cocinar, to cook, really, really regular, or hornear, to bake. Yeah, because we have the word el horno, which means oven, not stove, but the top, oven, the inside part, right? So I'm going to add those two verbs to that verb list. Cocinar, muy general, to cook. Hornear, to bake. Those are regular. Cocino, cocinas, cocina, cocinamos. Mis hijos se están cocinando ahora. Ahora mismo, right now, están cocinando en la cocina. Okay. And hornear, to bake. Horneo, right? Because when we conjugate, we take off that AR and we have to keep that E on the end. Horneo, horneas, hornea, horneamos, hornean. So, muy regular, very regular. But we've got two verbs out of that list, which are kind of important because they are common cooking methods. Hervir, to boil, when you boil something, you boil potatoes, you may have to, I don't know, well, boil any number of things. That is an E to IE stem changer. And freír, perdón, necesito mi tabla, me moví. I need my keyboard here. Freír, todavía no funciona, momentito. ¿Qué pasa aquí? Ok, vale, mejor. Okay, mejor. Freír, to fry. Okay. And this freír is often used even if you're not submerging the whole thing, para que sepan, just so you know. You see freír used all the time. So do you have to use sofreír if it's sauteed? No, you don't have to. People will still know. Okay. But freír, to fry, is an E to I. Ooh, so this is one of those bad stem changes. Bad stem changes, because usually stem changes, it's just present tense and commands, and then past tense goes away. But actually both of these are bad because they're IR verbs. IR verbs that are stem changers do get stem changes even in past, but in different places than what you expect. So if we only talk about present, well, hablamos del presente, we're just talking about present tense with these, because when you talk about how you fix something, you use present tense to talk about how you fix it. Or if you give instructions in a recipe, okay, they're given sometimes as commands or as those little se, one must, se hierve, yeah, stuff like that. So, okay, E to IE stem changes. I just want to show you what it will sound like. Hiervo, la forma de yo, yeah, the yo form. Hierves, and we don't pronounce the H, sino se pronuncia la H. Hierve, hierve, but we will, because the nosotros is outside of that boot, it will go back to this original vowel, and the nosotros form will go back to hervimos, right? Hervimos. And hierven. And we don't bother with the vosotros because only in Spain do they use that. Okay. Okay. If we're going to be really technical about it, because somebody will hervis. Pero no se usa fuera de España. They don't use that vosotros form outside of Spain. So, okay. Vale. So, often, if you want to express this as, well, you want to tell somebody how you make your deviled eggs, and you say, well, you boil the eggs, and you don't mean, hey, you boil the eggs. What you want to say is, oh, you, any old you who wants to make this recipe, right? Not you, that one individual, but you, meaning anybody you. You'll often in recipes see it expressed this way, se hierve, meaning one boils. Se hierve. Okay. Se hierve, see? One boils. So just so you know, para que sepan, if you see a little recipe, you'll often see it expressed often that way. Not always, but often. It may be listed as a command too, but freír gets an E to I, so it's frío. Yeah, I know. It's like the word for cold. Yeah. Ooh. No, it will not be confusing because in context, you will know, it will make sense, right? Fríe, right? Fríen. But we're going to have to go back to that original vowel and not change it to an e. Freímos. Freímos, yeah, freímos. Bien. Okay. Vale. Muy bien. So, para que sepan, so you know, these are the two very obvious, very common, very glaring, very bad irregulars that you will hear in those verb food prep vocabulary set. Okay. So tuck that into the back of your gray matter, and you'll probably need a few of those words to do your homework next week, but you're going to pick which one you need to use, not give me a list of 50 things. No. Okay, vale. Bueno, ¿alguna pregunta? Any kind of question? Okay.
Pregunta,
Sí, dime.
if you wanted to say, just like you say one boils, if you wanted to say one fries, would it be
Se
say
fríe.
frie?
Se fríe. Sí.
Frie.
Se fríe. See? So you may see in a recipe, they could be listed as commands as well, but it's pretty common to use that se thing because it means like, because when they write the recipe, they got no clue who's reading that. Yeah. Any old Joe Schmo out there is reading that recipe. They got no clue. So they put them in those very general terms. Se fríe, se hierve, se cocina a la parrilla. You cook it on the, you grill it on the grill. Sí, bueno, Esteban, dime.
Sí, una pregunta, por favor. In Argentina, I had beef, I'm going to get it wrong, beefsteak asada.
Bistec. Ay, sí.
See,
Bistec
that's
asado.
grilled. It wasn't roasted.
Oh, yeah.
So is the word interchangeable?
Oh, sometimes with that barbecue thing, es importante. En la Argentina, el carne de res es muy popular, muy famoso. Argentina en particular, Argentina especially is famous for its beef. It has been for years and years, since way back in the 1800s, a big beef producer and big beef exporter. They are therefore, I will say, out of all the Latin American countries, you want to go to a place where they know how to grill, like, you know, the Aussies know how to grill in the English speaking world. The Argentines know how to grill. And yeah. So, yeah, you'll often hear asado with that. Sí, es buena pregunta. Often you'll hear that. Or you might just hear a la parrilla, you know, grill. Yeah, see, you may hear it added on that way. And so now notice for a lot of food groups too, like beef. Yeah. There, bistec, B-I-S-T-E. Why? C? I sometimes say it with a K, but usually with a C. Bistec.
Okay.
Con C, bistec with a C, but I have in an errant things sometimes seen it. Yeah, because that steak thing I think slipped in from English. I think that's an Anglicism if you see it. So el bistec. But when you look in a menu, okay, and they categorize types of meat, as we do here in our restaurants, you know, a menu will put things in meats in categories. Okay, so you'll see, especially if it's a nice restaurant, you know, better one, yeah. Un restaurante de lujo, un restaurante costoso, something that costs a bit. You know, you'll see categories like beef, poultry, fish, maybe even shellfish, you know, and then make it down to the nitty gritty. Okay. When you see beef as a category on a menu, it'll usually not just be listed as beefsteak. I mean, a particular dish will obviously, if it is steak, be beefsteak. But carne de res, res, R-E-S, R-E-S. Carne de res. Okay, so meat of beef, I guess, yeah. Carne de res. And, you know, pescados would be fish, you know, mariscos. Mariscos would be seafood, not necessarily fish, but something that came in a shell. Mariscos. Aves, A-V-E-S. Oh, you heard of avian flu? Yeah. Yeah. Aves is a general word for poultry. So, you may see categories like that on a menu. Aves, poultry, carne de res, beef, yeah, pescado, or del mar, from the sea. They may make it real general. Mariscos. Puerco, cerdo. There are different, interestingly, different words used for pork or pig. Puerco, which sounds like pork. Okay. Cerdo, pig meat. Okay. So you'll often see different categories for that. And so you may want to rewatch that video and grab some things out of, I think I'm going to give you, was there a separate one? There was a separate one that will be more in detail, but that'll be like a homework thing to watch. Not for right now. Next thing we're gonna look in a more general way with la cocina. Okay, so some of these words you're going to start to recognize more, some not. Even here, like the food words, there are certain kitchen vocabulary words that will vary depending on the region or the country you are in. And I'm going to be honest with you, there are times when I hear people who fight over these food things. No one says that. Well, where you live, no. But yeah. And there's no definitive way for me to tell you exactly in each country, oh, it will be this little word in this place. Because sometimes even, por ejemplo, in Argentina, the northwest of the country might use a different term than people would use, los porteños in Buenos Aires. So yeah, sometimes you get people who don't agree on vocabulary, but we go with the flow and people generally all understand each other. So we're going to take a look at La Cocina. This lady is going to give us a tour of her cocina, and I will pause in some areas where we need some clarification, but I think this is going to be kind of elementary, so it'll make sense. I don't think we need closed captions. If we do, I'll turn them on later. Okay, vamos a ver. So we're going to look at like places in the kitchen, things you use in the kitchen, because again, some of these you may want to use next week when you prep a little something you're going to talk about. Okay.
Hola, yo soy Teacher Catalina. Bienvenidos a mi cocina. ¿Qué hay en mi cocina?
What's in my kitchen?
Empecemos con las cosas grandes.
Let's start with the big stuff. Empecemos con las cosas grandes. Empecemos means let's start. She's making a command. Let's do it.
Sí, muy bien. Esta es mi nevera o refrigerador.
Refrigerador. And I have, believe it or not, heard this also called, they misspelled it there. Refrigerador. This should be an F here, guys. It's not refrigerador. Wow, I can't even pronounce that word. F. Here it's spelled correctly. Refrigerador. I have even heard people call this la refrigeradora. But I've only heard one guy ever say that, and un nativo, a native. So this goes to show you this word tends to morph a lot. I have heard frigorifico. I have heard people say a shortened term for refrigerador, el refri, refri, R-E-F-R-I, el refri, like we say fridge. So cuidado, careful. You will hear people refer to this electrodoméstico, this electric domestic thing, as different things. But refrigerador, refri, short, nevera, bien. Those are like the biggies.
Nevera, refrigerador. Aquí tenemos el congelador.
Congelador. Congelador es
Freezer?
Freezer. Congelar. Congelar sounds like it could be, congeal. Congelador. Congelador is your freezer. El congelador.
Congelador. Es muy frío. Congelador. Nevera.
And no, she did not say está frío. No, because in order to be a freezer, it's got to be cold. That's an essential element of congelador. So, el congelador es frío. Es frío. If it's not frío, it's not a congelador. It is a part of the identity of that device. So, es frío.
O refrigerador. Esta es la estufa.
Estufa, la estufa. La estufa es stove.
Cocinamos en la estufa. Es caliente. Aquí tenemos el horno. El horno.
And I like this. Look at her mouth. This is so wonderful. Es maravilloso, ¿no? Es maravilloso. Perdón, I am sorry, we've got some Wi-Fi hiccups with this tonight. Okay, this only happens when we have videos on, but the thing I like about this video, go back and watch this again. One thing we are often not conscious of as English speakers is how to keep those vowels super pure. And you know, you are damn sure you were saying refrigerador. And, you know, it comes out refrigerador or something like that, kind of anglicized. Sometimes it's because your brain is wired to think and say that first, and that's the way it comes out. But in this video, if you watch her mouth, it will make you think about the pattern of how to pronounce it. So somebody truly can understand what you are saying. I know you think you're saying it that way, but we have to really shape our mouths a specific way to make it sound like that. So we'll watch the rest of her again.
Horno.
Horno.
Estufa. Horno.
Horno.
El lavaplatos eléctrico. El lavaplatos eléctrico. O el lavavajillas. El lavavajillas. El lavaplatos. El lavaplatos. Piensa. El lavaplatos. El lavaplatos eléctrico.
A lot of people will call the regular sink fregadero because it's a place where you fregar, where you scrub. Okay, so there are different words for sink as well.
La llave del agua. La llave del agua.
Water
O
key.
El grifo.
Grifo.
El grifo.
El grifo.
La batidora. La batidora. La tabla de cortar. La tabla de cortar. El rodillo. El rodillo. Las recetas.
Recipes.
Las recetas. El papel de cocina. El papel de cocina. Sal. Sal. Pimienta. Pimienta.
Salt and pepper.
La cafetera. La cafetera.
Coffee maker.
¿Te gusta el café? La sartén. La sartén.
And by the way, depending on where you are, people say either el sartén or la sartén. No importa. It does not matter. I don't know how that has changed over the year, but el sartén, la sartén depends on where you live, which one you use. It's just, everybody knows sartén, sartén.
La olla. La olla.
Concha.
La cuchara de palo. La cuchara de palo. El cucharón. El cucharón.
A ladle.
La pinza. La pinza. La chocolatera. La chocolatera. El molinillo. El molinillo. El abrelatas. El abrelatas.
Can opener.
La tetera. La tetera.
Teapot.
La licuadora.
Licuadora. Yeah, blender.
La licuadora. Licuadora. El microondas. Microondas.
Microwave.
Es mi cocina. Es una cocina pequeña, pero muy buena. Thank you so much for joining me.
Okay, bien. And I will give you the link to that again. The reason I like this is this lady enunciates beautifully, and it really will help you to sometimes they tell us it helps to practice in front of a mirror and watch what shape your mouth is doing. Watch the shapes that her mouth does when she pronounces those words. Ayuda muchísimo. It really, really does help, because that is something we can always work on to get better with that. Okay. Vale, bien. Vamos a ver. Ok. Bueno. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any kind of question? ¿Sí o no? ¿Sí? ¿No? ¿Sí? ¿No? Ok. Vale. Bueno, vamos a hablar un poquito. Ustedes van a practicar un poquito. You're going to practice a little bit and practice as best you can. Do not feel like you must be perfect with this. We'll give you time to work in smaller groups on this, and then come back and share what you had to say, because there's going to be no correct answer in this activity. And you will see these things when you go into what we call our little breakout rooms. La preparación de la comida. La preparación de la comida. Ingredientes, especias, that means spices, lo que se usa para preparar, what you use to prepare it. I want you to feel that you can be very free form to talk about these 4 things. And whatever your ability is, you can talk about them. You could talk about what's in it, whether you like it, if you cook it a lot, some ingredient in it, or one of those verbs that you could use to talk about how you fix it. So we're going to give some of these some names. Por ejemplo, aquí diríamos en inglés un omelette, pero bueno, en España es la tortilla. La tortilla. And this is not a traditional shape for tortilla in Spain, but they would call this not tortilla. Momentito, ay. Tengo el dedo gordo. I got the fat finger going. Tortilla. Tortilla, la tortilla. Tortilla española. Let's call it tortilla española. Okay, vale. Even though it isn't technically tortilla española. Okay. A ver. And lest you know, because this has come up, there is, and believe it or not, this comes from an indigenous word that came into Spanish and then came from Spanish into English, barbacoa. La barbacoa. And yes, I know it's a la parrilla. Yeah, it's on a grill, but la barbacoa, barbecue. See? ¿Cómo se llaman? What do we call these?
Oh, what is it? Mashed potatoes.
Potatoes. They're just plain old
Potatoes.
potatoes, right? Here is one of those words that gets a notorious different vocabulary word in Spain versus Latin American Spanish. So here is what we're going to use on this side of the pond. Las papas. Papas, las papas. En España se dice las patatas. They prefer the word patatas. It's pretty close to papas, but you know, a little difference there, but papas. Papas, puré de papas, puré de papas, okay? Y guacamole. El guacamole, okay? So you can talk about this food this time any old way you any way you want to, about what's in it. Is it hot? Is it cold? What you would method you would use to cook it if it is cooked, anything like that. So you're going to see that exact set of pictures when you go into the breakout rooms. Vale. Sí,
One question.
sí, dime, Susana.
So I'm getting thrown off by an omelet being called a tortilla.
Tortilla. I'm going to find very quickly here. Wow, momentito. I'm going to find something that makes it more.
Because you could be really surprised if you ordered something
Yes.
tortilla and you end up with an omelet.
Yeah, sí. Así es.
Corn tortilla with stuff
Here's
in
what I'm going to do in an effort to make this more culturally, politically correct.
it. Mm-mm.
We're going to take out the old and put in the new. And you'll see an actual tortilla española when you see the picture, because it is somewhat different in that it takes the shape of the pan.
Marilyn,
See,
I'm looking up in the dictionary tortilla C, and it also says omelette.
yeah,
Or you can see tortilla de
So that-
huevo.
that's kind of borrowed from the French, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, you may very well see it listed that way, you know,
But
on a
it-
breakfast menu.
But if you were to say tortilla de huevo, I mean, that would clarify.
Tortilla
it.
de huevo. Yeah, sí.
¿no?
Tortilla al estilo español. Tortilla española. Así es. People in Latin America know what a tortilla española is. Of course, when you say tortilla in Latin America, they're thinking about, what we
Right.
use as tortilla, right? Yeah,
Right.
tortilla. But most people do know what that is, at least. So, okay. Vale, vamos a ver, just so you have the preview. This is what the tortilla española actually looks like. It actually takes the form of the pan. They've cut a wedge out of it here. See? And tortilla española is really in the omelet, but it's, well, there are many different ingredients that are put into it. The most traditional is with potato, which is not what we do on this side of the pond, and onion, potato and onion. I know that may sound a little odd, but that's what they see. That's what they use. Es tradicional. That is traditional. I actually sometimes make tortilla española at home. My kids know actually how to even make it and even how to flip it and flip it back in the pan and do all that fun stuff. Okay, so it is wide open today. It'll be more specific for next week. So I'm going to send you off into breakout rooms, just groups of like generally 3 people to talk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ay. Ay. Bien. Bien. Un grupo más. I'm adding one more room so that we can break things up so people actually get a chance to talk a little more. Un poquito más. ¿Qué más? 1, 2, 3. I'm just counting up my things. So everything is divided nice and equally. Okay, vale. I want generally at least 3 people in a room. When you hit you'll have to hit the join button when I send you into the breakout room. So you'll see a little join button. It appears differently on tablets or computers, depending on what you're using. And after everybody hits the join button, then I'll be able to send the picture I just showed you guys. And you can talk about it in any way you want. This is wide open today because it's easy day. Yay. So, whoop, perdón. Join. Hit your join button. Do you see a join button? There we go. It may take a while to click in for you. Ok. ¿Cómo estás, Janet?
Oh, bien.
Bien, qué alegría de verte.
Sí, quiero continuar,
Ay,
pero
sí, como siempre, sí. Hay muchos en tu grupo anterior que están viajando por todo el mundo.
sí,
Están
sí.
viajando. Yo no, pero muchos sí
Ni
están
yo
viajando.
tampoco.
Y yo tampoco.
Sí.
Ay. Bueno, y van a... aquí vienen. Aquí vienen. Here comes some folks. Okay. Now, I don't want anybody to feel self-conscious. You talk about what you can talk about, and that's okay. Está bien. No hay que ser experto. No hay que ser experta. You don't have to be an expert. And I will try to maybe get you into more specific ability groups next time around next week, la semana que viene. But let's see. Let's see what kinds of ideas, what kinds of comments, what kinds of observations you might have had about these 4 different foods. Estos 4 platos. Okay, bien. It can be anything as simple as this one is not cooked to this one is only vegetable to, whatever, lo que sea, whatever you want to say, lo que quiera, whatever you want. And when I show you the picture, sadly, I cannot see your faces, so don't raise your hand because I can't see you. So I need somebody to just shut out and say something about a food thing.
Well, in the tortilla española, our group came up with a really tasty recipe.
Okay, vale.
Bien.
Con cebolla, I guess that's a word for
Cebolla, onion, I see.
Y tocino.
Tocino, bacon, sí.
Y jamón.
Y jamón.
Y pimiento verde.
Sí, ok. Sí, o chiles o lo que tengan, whatever they may have.
Y queso.
Sí, y queso. Hay gran variedad. There's great
Variation.
sí, hay gran variedad en la manera de preparar una tortilla española. La receta, the recipe, la receta más tradicional de tortilla española lleva, it has, when we talk about ingredients that food has, a common verb to use is llevar. Double L, E-V-A-R, llevar. Lleva, literally it carries, it has within it. So when we talk about our ingredients, we often, you can say tiene, it has, but lleva makes you sound more nativo. Okay, so la tortilla española muy tradicional lleva, it has, lleva huevos, obvio, cebolla, patatas, pimiento y sal. Y sí, a veces tocino, sometimes bacon, sí, pero a veces champiñones, sometimes mushrooms, sí, depende. Pero la receta más tradicional de una tortilla española lleva huevos, cebolla, papas o patatas, como se dice en España, y todo eso. Ok. A ver, bueno, ¿qué más observaciones tienen ustedes? Y se cocina. Do you cook this? ¿Se cocina la tortilla?
Sí.
Sí.
Frían.
Se
So
fríe.
fríe.
Más específicamente, se cocina, you cook it, pero se fríe muy específicamente a 2 lados.
Sí.
Se fríe un lado, ¡pum! Se fríe otro lado, ¿ok? Vale, bueno, otra observación, another observation. De otra cosa, tenemos tres cosas más. Tenemos tres platos más. We have 3 more dishes.
Juanita.
Bien,
Juanita.
Juanita, dinos
Sí.
algo. Tell us something.
Sí, me gusta mucho el guacamole.
Oh, guacamole.
Me gusta.
Y también,
Yo corto aguacate.
El aguacate.
El aguacate y la cebolla y ajo, tomates y sal y poquito picante. Y,
Un poquito de sí.
Pimientos.
una mezcla de verde.
Sí, es una mezcla verde, claro. Bueno, se cocina o se fríe la tortilla española. ¿Se fríe el guacamole? ¿Se fríe?
¿Se fríe? No.
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 Claro que no. No, claro que no. No se fríe. No se fríe el guacamole.
Llevar o llevé.
Lleva. It has.
Lleva jugo de limón o de lim.
Sí. Eso es muy importante. Lleva un poquito de jugo de limón o jugo de lima. Lima o limón. Depende, ¿no? Bien. Sí. Bueno, es mejor preparar el guacamole en casa, un guacamole casero, homemade, casero. O es mejor comprar el guacamole en el supermercado.
No.
¿Cuál es mejor? ¿El guacamole casero o el guacamole del supermercado?
No supermercado.
Me gusta todo.
A veces el mejor guacamole es en un restaurante tradicional.
Sí, restaurante. Muy
A
bien.
veces, sí. Hay muchos restaurantes que tienen sus recetas secretas, sí, con ingredientes secretos para preparar el guacamole en un restaurante de calidad. Claro. Bueno, hay más observaciones. Y no se cocina, claro. No se cocina. You don't cook it. Ok, vale. Otras observaciones.
this is Sue. We had a question about la barbacoa. Was that referring to just things that you barbecue, or does it have a specific?
Yes, that is. And I'm going to add an extra thing in here because this kind of, cocinar, momentito, necesito una cajita una etiqueta muy larga. I need a long tab here. Cocinar a la parrilla. Parrilla, doble R, parrilla o sin? I need to look that up if that's double R or single R. A la parrilla, momentito. A veces, sometimes I have to say a la parrilla. Creo que es doble R. A la parrilla. O a la plancha, ¿ya? Sí, bien, bien, a cocinar, ¿ok? Sí, barbacoa no es necesariamente una salsa. Yeah, barbacoa in Spanish does not necessarily mean like a great big goopy reddish brownish looking sauce. Yeah.
Okay.
It won't necessarily be that, like just barbecue sauce. It'll be grilled, okay? Bien. Bueno, otras observaciones o preguntas. Okay. I'm going to give you one more one more set of pictures to talk about, and we're gonna now we'll preview that later. Okay, okay. Hay solamente tres platos. We've only got 3 dishes here. 3 dishes to talk about. Y vamos a indicar la pasta. Aquí es la pasta. Bien. Oh, la pasta primavera. La pasta primavera, sí, un plato italiano, ¿verdad? Bien, pasta primavera. Aquí tenemos una pizza. A todo el mundo le encanta la pizza. Pizza is forever only going to get the word pizza in every language. I never see anything other than la pizza. Everyone has adopted this. ¿Sí? La pizza. Y aquí tenemos una ensalada. La ensalada, claro, sí. You might talk about que lleva. Right? You might talk about cómo se prepara. You might use any wealth of questions. Que lleva. Que llevan los platos. What do the dishes have? You may want to start with that. Okay, bien. And again, you will see that when you go into your groups. I'm only going to give you about 5 minutes. Come back. We'll share any observations. And you'll get your little assignment. You're going to have an extra video to watch to just help you a little bit more with that whole get yourself in the mood for talking about cooking thing. But we're going to do this as a breakout room session next. Okay, vale? Bien. After you hit your join button, you will see the pictures again. Otra vez. So you'll have to hit your join button, and then I'll be able to send the picture into the breakout rooms. Uy, vale un momentito. ¿Dónde está el botón de compartir? Share. Bien, aquí. Share, share, share. Compartir, compartir, compartir. Para que todos puedan ver las mismas fotos. So everybody can see the same photos. Y para que todos puedan hablar de ingredientes, de cómo se cocina, cómo se prepara y todo eso. Y tengo que observar cuántos minutos. Uy. Un poquito menos de 5 minutos. A little bit less than 5 minutes on this.
Oops, I kind of jumped the gun there. I'm back.
Está bien, that's okay. Está bien. This is a shorter one. Es más breve, ¿sí? Una sesión más breve. I want to make sure I have time to explain what I would like you guys to do to prep for next week. Nos quedan quizás 30 segundos. Some people join a little bit later, so we'll just wait for everybody to come back. And we'll see what kind of questions you had or what observations you had or, lo que sea, whatever it may be. And then I'll show you what I would like you to do for prep for the coming week.
Just do a small, because I'm not hungry. No, just use.
Pregunta, ¿cómo se dice leftovers?
Sobrantes.
Sobrantes. Okay.
Ay, a ver, momentito. Voy a
sounds
buscar
sobra.
algo más específico. Es buena pregunta, es muy buena pregunta.
Mi esposo es mexicano y
Sí, sobrantes. Oh, sobrante, singular. Sobrante, singular. Creo que sí es singular. Or a shorter version of that. Sobrantes or sobras. Sobras, which is easier to pronounce. Las sobras.
Las sobras.
You do sometimes hear los restos, the rest, but las sobras, leftovers. Ay, sí. Tenemos muchas sobras aquí en nuestra casa. Muchas veces cocino para 4 personas. Entonces, casi siempre tengo sobras. A menos es una receta de keto. Entonces, sí, a mis hijos no les gustan las recetas de keto, pero a mi esposo es como una religión. Okay. Es toda una religión. Ok, bueno, ¿qué observaciones tienen? What kind of observations you have? And we'll have to keep this one a little bit brief because I'm sorry I'm going a little bit over. Ok, alguien, somebody. Una observación de pizza, la ensalada, pasta primavera.
La ensalada es mezcla con pan.
Mezcla de verduras con pan. Con pan también, sí. Sí, exacto. Ok, ¿qué más? ¿Se cocina la ensalada? ¿Se cocina? Do you cook it?
No.
Por lo general, no.
Una mezcla.
Una mezcla. Es solamente una mezcla, sí.
Verdugos y
verduras, lechuga, tomate, pepinos, aceitunas, olives,
aguacates
negros y posiblemente huevos.
Huevos, es posible, sí, es posible, sí. Huevos hervidos, boiled eggs, sí, en trozos, en chunks, sí, slices, sí. Ok, bueno, otra observación muy general. La pizza se cocina.
Sí.
Sí, se hornea, you bake it. Se hornea, you bake it. Se hornea. Ponemos la pizza, metemos la pizza en el horno.
Sí.
Metemos la pizza en el horno para cocinarla. Bien. Metemos, we put inside. Metemos la pizza dentro del horno para cocinarla, para hornearla, to bake it. ¿Sí? La pizza empieza con masa, ¿no? It starts with a dough.
Sí.
Sí, hay que amasar la masa primero, ¿sí? Y entonces tenemos ingredientes.
Sí.
Sí,
Masa.
encima de la masa, encima de la masa. Ok, vale. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más? What else can we say? ¿Algo? No, okay. I'm going to give you a little heads up on what you do. I want you to come in and talk a little bit, and this is going to be very general. So I'm going to give you a brief example of what you could do with this. And I'll write it down in the email as well, so that you have something you can read and ponder and think, because we need that. We need that. ¿Qué plato consideras tu especialidad? What dish do you consider your specialty? Something you do really well, or that you like to do, or that you just do a lot. Okay, especialidad.
Yeah.
La especialidad de la casa. Specialty of the house. Vale, bueno, entonces, and you'll see these instructions with that whole set of food things, okay? Dinos un poquito, tell us a little bit. So come prepared to tell us a little bit. Dinos un poco de por qué es genial. Why is it great? Why is it great? Or maybe how you fix it. Or maybe what device you use to cook it. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the possibility. ¿Cuál es tu secreto? What's your secret? Maybe you've got a secret ingredient. So you can talk about ingredientes, especias, spices, que lleva el plato that the dish has. Lo que se usa para prepararlo. You can come and talk just about if you've got that special spatula, that special kitchen tool that, you know, is like, I cannot live without this. Yeah, that you use for that dish. Tu técnica o método en cocinarlo, in cooking it. Okay. Hazlo breve, keep it short. So please, this is not a term paper, double space. Okay, just log it out. We want you to talk a little bit comfortably about something you fix a lot or something that you do really well in food prep. Nada más de 2 o 3 frases. Un ejemplo. Off the cuff, I'm going to talk to you about something, and I will bring an item. You may choose not to talk about ingredients, but just show me like a couple of items that you use to make it. You know, this can be a little presentation, mini presentation of whatever you want it to be. Por ejemplo, mi especialidad, sin duda, no doubt, sin duda, es salmón al vapor. Salmón al vapor. Steamed salmon. See? Okay. I could go 2 ways with this, and I will probably bring some show and tell items next week, which you can do too if you like. I'll bring you my show and tells because I don't have them with me now. So I'll tell you what. Okay. Tengo una receta especial y a todos les gusta este salmón, ¿sí? Es salmón que cocino al vapor. I cook it by steaming. Al vapor, V-A-P-O-R, al vapor. Y, los ingredientes especiales, los ingredientes secretos de la receta son aceite, ajo, jugo de limón, pimienta, y mostaza. Mostaza, ajo, aceite, jugo de limón, pimiento. ¿Sí? Mezclo una salsa. Aquí salsa no es como salsa roja. No, this is not salsa like Mexican salsa. Salsa is nada más que sauce. Es todo. All that salsa means is sauce. You know, we have an English picture in your brain of salsa. When you say salsa, everybody who lives here especially knows salsa, pero salsa. Ok, los ingredientes secretos los uso para crear la salsa y baño el salmón en la salsa al vapor. Okay, so I bathe that salmon and then I steam it. Now, next week when I come in, I'm going to actually bring a couple of utensils I use for this to talk about that. Okay, so if you don't want to talk about ingredients, you can use some of those cooking verbs and talk about that and maybe bring in a utensil or two. Okay, I am going to give you one extra video to watch, which will talk a little bit more about like recipe oriented thing, but come in and talk and feel very comfortable talking about any aspect about your favorite recipe. Okay, whether it's talking about like some special thing you put in it or a special tool in your kitchen you use to cook it, or the way you cook it, or even you could talk about how long you cook it. It's totally up to you. Okay. Bien. I will put in a little example in the email I will send to you so you can like ponder it a little more. Yeah. And read the example. Okay. ¿Entienden? Understand?
Sí.
¿Entienden? Bien. Ok, vale. Mañana ustedes van a recibir por correo electrónico. Tomorrow you're going to get in email a list of every link to all the videos that we did watch and the one new video that you're going to watch, and a list of all those pictures. And I'll probably even throw in a couple of extra cooking verbs in those picture slides so that you've got, because I think that video did not cover the at least one or two of the verbs. I got to go back and look at that. So anyway, I'll make sure that's all grouped together in the food picture Google Slides. ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Okay, y vamos a compartir ideas. Our idea is for you to share ideas. So I'm going to give everybody a turn to share some ideas with the group. And you're not graded, so see, relájense, relax about it. See, bien, you can make it as simple as you want to, but keep it very, very short. Bien, ¿alguna pregunta? Any question before we sign off for tonight? Sí, bueno, Juanita, dime.
Sí. When you are using llevar in que lleven los platos, how are you translating llevar? It's not.
Llevar is like saying contains.
Contain, because doesn't that mean to take or to wear?
It means that too.
Contains, okay.
Oh, llevar is such a troublesome verb. Llevar, and really only saying, llevo una blusa. I'm wearing a blouse. Yeah. Latin America, tengo puesto, or tengo puesta la blusa. But llevar can mean in some places to wear. Llevar can mean to pick up and take this with me. Llevar can mean to put my cats in the car and take them to the vet. And llevar can be used to say something contains these ingredients when we talk about recipes. Okay.
So if you said que lleven los platos,
but not lleven,
lleven, whoops,
lleva.
Que lleven los platos, and it's plural because los platos.
Because platos. So if I talk about salmon, or if I talk about salsa, my sauce, I want to say my sauce has boom, 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 boom. I can just say tiene, has, but es más natural, suena mejor, it sounds better. If I say, mi salsa especial lleva jugo de limón, aceite, ajo, Pimienta, pepper. Hay algo más. I say, y mostaza. Y mostaza, mustard. La salsa lleva mostaza, jugo de limón, aceite, ajo, garlic, y pimienta, pepper. You
So
can say
what-
that and be done.
So what if you were going to say, what does your salad contain, or what's in your salad? What's
¿Qué,
in,
qué lleva tu ensalada? ¿Qué lleva la ensalada?
okay.
¿Qué lleva la ensalada? What does the salad have?
Okay.
¿Qué lleva este plato? What does this dish have? Because you want to know, maybe you're a vegan person, or maybe you're a vegetarian and you want to make sure no lleva carne, does not have meat. A veces es importante saber, ¿sí? ¿Qué lleva el plato? What does that dish have? Now, you can't say, ¿qué tiene el plato? ¿Qué está en el plato? You can, pero suena mejor, suena más natural. ¿Qué lleva el plato? What does that dish have? ¿Qué lleva? And it's not, so, okay, I'm going to put on a quick share screen before we get off, because this is one of those pronunciation things, Juanita, and we all have our moments with this. So believe me, look at how close these words are. Oh, okay, no. Fat finger there. Lleva. If I'm talking about just one dish, you're usually going to keep it as lleva. It contains, right? It has. But now look at how close in pronunciation it is to llave. Uh-oh. Look what happens if you switch your vowels.
Yeah.
Aquí, lleva, lleva. Smile when you start. Lleva, lleva, lleva. But llave, llave is a key. Yeah. Okay. Lava.
Wash.
Wash. Ay, and those are, oh my gosh. You saw Jave when she talked about the faucet in that video, and lava is wash. And look at how close these are. They all have these. They all have some kind of an L, but different kinds. And oh my gosh. So lleva, you got to smile with the e. Lleva, llave. We switched the order of the vowels. Llave, a very different word, and lava. And believe it or not, that is harder than you think to make sure you've got the, but what's important that you have the vowels in the right order. And that's why in Spanish, the vowels are the key. They are 75% of the game. They really are. Eso es.
Yeah.
Ay, es fácil, pero no es fácil. It's easy, but not so easy, right?
I would like to suggest that next week we all eat dinner before we
right.
we'll get hungry.
Gracias, Catalina. Ay, sí, claro. Buena sugerencia. Good suggestion. Okay. Bien, sí. So you might come with a little utensil, you might have a little piece of your ingredient to show in the screen. Something to make it fun. See? ¿Qué importa? Okay. That's what I will be doing. I will be bringing a couple of little tools, herramientas. Okay. ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Otra pregunta. Another question? ¿Sí o no? No. And just whatever your ability is, but please, no term papers. Breve, algo breve, something brief, right? Okay, you may want to make it to a term paper, but don't do that because we just want everybody to get a little screen time sharing, and we learn a lot from hearing other people say things. And even if we make a mistake, it's perfectly okay because we learn from our mistakes too, how to say it in a way that, okay, suena mejor, that sounds better. Yeah. Or is easier to understand. So we learn from everything that we do. Todo bien? All good?
Sí,
Sí, gracias.
Excelente, excelente, excelente.
Adiós.
Ok, entonces nos vemos. And if you have any other questions through the week, feel free to email me and you'll get the email with all the links mañana, tomorrow. Bien?
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Well, it's good to see everybody again. So,
Bye.
yeah.
Sí.
Adiós.
And I finished my landscaping just in time.